the amount of suffering that I see Christians going through. And I see my mother's a Christian. I have folks who have been born Christian who live for what I call temporary life conditions instead of a life condition that would allow them to be happy no matter what.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask you number 3. I want to deal with those first 2 things. When you go onto it, right? This is why I wanted to ask you. When you go into what the Bible talks about as far as what Christ said himself, what the Word says, right?
What people say what Christ said. What the book says what Christ said.
Right, but they actually don't follow the book as far as how we're supposed to deal with things. You understand? When you go into suffering, right? The suffering comes in when you read the scriptures to prove those who are God's own. You understand? It's not just suffering for suffering's sake to get some sort of reward in the end. You can receive the reward right now when you read the true walk of Christians as far as undergoing temptation, because when you read the Bible, the Most High, He knows all spirits. He created all spirits. But He also knows what each spirit has to go through on its journey to become perfect in His eyes. And He knows which spirits are His, which spirits will choose. I'm going to read this real quick, because there's suffering, yes, but it's all about what you suffer for. 1 Peter 2:20 for the brother.
1 Peter chapter 2, verse 20.
What happens is we're in the flesh. Like you said, what's the Buddhist word for? The world, what do you call it in Buddhism? Saha. Okay, we're in Saha right now, right? The flesh. But now, the flesh has its own glory. It's just not to be abused. When you read the scriptures, Philippians 4 and verse 11, what would you have? So read this for the brother.
For what glory is it if, when ye be buffeted for your faults, ye shall take it patiently?
So what fault have ye? You be buffeted for your faults. You take it patiently. You do wrong, right? Or make mistakes. Did you be buffeted for the wrong that you do, right? So now, after I read that, I want to ask another question, real quick. What's your take on right and wrong? And is there such a thing?
Cause and effect.
Okay, cause and effect. So now,
Causation. What you create, what you do, causes as effect, manifests, latent effects.
okay, we definitely agree with that. Just say you reap what you sow. But now, as far as what's good as far as you're concerned, what should you put out, and who decides?
What should I put out? What I should put out is happiness.
Happiness. Okay. So you put out happiness, what would happen? You would...
Out there, like, with respect for other people, I create an atmosphere, potential for
When she has to participate.
Okay.
So,
respect, your conversation, and dialogue without judging you.
Okay.
Listen to you, okay, and listen to me,
Right.
okay, because we have a chance of establishing a mutual respect and appreciation.
Okay.
Where when we don't have that respect for each other, because in Buddhism we do believe that suffering is not necessarily bad.
Okay.
That suffering is what polishes, so to speak, what allows you to polish your mirror, so you can see the reflection of the world. Because what you see is a reflection of you.
Okay. We're talking there, the verse he has in Philippians is going to deal with that. So now, happiness. How is it that we determine what happiness is? Is it universal or is it subjective? But I mean, one thing that makes you happy may make you unhappy.
That's what I'm saying. It's actual proof. Happiness for you, if happiness for you is killing people,
Okay.
that makes you happy. Okay. That to me is disrespecting someone else.
But that's their happiness. So I'm trying to get deeper behind the standards that we're looking for as far as how to live life amongst each other in the world. Because you actually brought the point that I was actually getting at, which is everyone's happiness isn't the same. Everyone has a different standard of what their happiness is, and even on a more important note, everyone has their own standard as far as what right and wrong is.
It's just like it's just like an idea of freedom of speech. Everybody should be able to say what they want to say, but everyone have to hear it.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, where's the line?
I'm asking. So
It's when you interfere with someone else's happiness.
But here's the thing.
What makes me happy makes you unhappy. Okay, then that's not a peaceful world.
So now how can you truly have a peaceful world then? Because even if I'm not in my neighbor's lawn or my neighbor's property doing something over there that makes him unhappy, but makes me happy, I'm still putting out what makes me happy. Whether you agree with it being right or wrong or not, even though I'm off to myself, I could be in the mountains doing something that's profane as far as someone else is concerned, but I'm doing it to myself. It's still putting something out there. How do you have peace? How do you have happiness amongst all when you have those contradictions at play?
You separate yourself from your brother. You separate yourself from your own. So when you separate yourself, that's when the potential comes in.
Okay. I'm going to take it real quick for the brother. Now, based on what I'm hearing that you're mentioning, it's kind of interesting because if everyone has their own happiness, we're doomed for chaos. Because like the example that you brought up, if someone is a murderer, that makes him happy. Right? So you can go out there and murder people. Someone's a rapist, that makes him happy.
And that happiness is interfering with someone else's happiness.
Right.
So that's when it becomes a contradiction. Because
1 Corinthians 1 and 10.
You cannot be happy making yourself unhappy because you've separated yourself from that brother.
Right.
If that brother is you and you're that brother, then that happiness means universal happiness.
Right.
And the happiness is not just limited to your happiness.
Right. So now, like, for instance, let's take it right now. You said you're a Buddhist, right? That makes me unhappy. So would you stop being a Buddhist?
I wouldn't stop being a Buddhist because right now you have not had a dialogue about that happiness or about versus what it is.
Right.
Okay, so that so there's mutual respect that comes from us being able to listen to each other.
Right.
Allows us to establish a dialogue where perhaps you might become Buddhist. I might shock a book on you.
Okay, so now let's read this.
1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 10. Now I beseech ye, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing.
So now that's one thing that we don't have in the world. We don't have everyone speaking the same thing, right? Just like the other brothers that came up earlier, he asked us, what religion are we? Right? Christian, Islam or Muslim, Baptist, Pentecostal, Buddhist. These are all different forms of religion. Okay. Right. It does. Right, what is it?
What I practice is more philosophy of life.
Okay.
Because actually religion is whatever you practice.
Right. So now, this practice, right? After us reading this, I'm going to ask you a question about the practice. Read that again.
1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 10. Now I beseech ye, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment.
So now give me Romans 10 and 5. So now based on this is something that probably all people will want, right? That's why you always have the concept of world peace, right? Everyone living in peace and harmony. And the only way to do that is for everyone to be on the same page. But we're not all on the same page. Morally, economically, right? Socially, we're not. Religiously, we have all these different diversities of interests. But now, we speak about happiness or righteousness, right? Or things that are supposed to be done to keep everything in perfect harmony. Now, how do we get that? Right? How do we attain happiness and righteousness? Read that.
It's in Romans 10:6. Romans chapter 10 verse 5. For Moses describeth the righteousness which is of the law.
Which is what?
Of the law.
So now righteousness comes from some type of a law, some type of a doctrine, some type of principles that we're supposed to abide by. Right? This is something that's not foreign. We learn principles from the very time that we're born. Right? We learn identity. We learn who we are as a people. Your parents give you a name, right? Prince, what's your name? Vince. Your mother, your father gave you that name, Vince. But now, when you come into the